if you want to franchise your business, the first thing is you've got to have a good business. Now, that seems pretty obvious, but I've had people come to me to say, well, like, I want to franchise my business. Why? Well, I'm not making any money out of it, so I figure if I franchise, I can get money from franchisees. You haven't got a good model. If anybody comes to us with an idea for franchising, the first thing we talk to them is what is a reasonable level of income you can make from your service. If you can't see in a service industry at least $60 an hour, and usually more than that if you're the founder, it's not even worth thinking about. So you've got to have a great business model, making a good hourly rate. You've got to have a good marketing system that finds you work, and usually more work than you can handle, because that's a sign that you're doing well. If you're scratching for work, well, you can't franchise, because how are you going to get your franchisees busy? So you've got a great business, your customers love you, you've got great customer service, your hourly rate is high, people are crowding into your service. Typically, too, if we were going to look to somebody to help them to franchise, we want somebody who'd shown some evidence of going beyond the one-man band sort of thing, or one-woman band. Somebody who's employing a few people. So they've already started on the process, they've shown some skill at management. So if you haven't got to that level, I'd say work hard until you get to that level. Now, when you get to that level, it becomes a lot more complicated. The first thing I'd say is that franchising is a long-term prospect. It's not a short-term thing. You can make money from franchise sales, but the real money in franchising has to be from ongoing fees, which means you need numbers. There's a lot of investment in setting the system up. You've got to get contracts done. You've got to get the disclosure documents done if you're in Australia with the franchising code. You've got to get information brochures. You've got to get a website set up and done. You know, we are talking about even people, we help people do this within gyms, and even within that it can cost tens of thousands. It can cost a lot more than that. So you need to get expertise. Whether you get a franchising specialist to help you, I don't know, quite frankly. But there's a lot of effort in getting the basics in place. And then I think the absolute crucial thing, and this to me is the core of it, when you're a franchisor, you're not just a service provider to the clients. You're a service provider to your franchisees. And to my mind, successful franchising is about looking after franchisees, what they want, how to make them successful. Ray Kroc, who's probably one of the most successful, probably the most successful franchisor of all time with McDonald's, he was actually running a Mixmaster business. That's how he got into McDonald's in the first place. While he had his first franchisees were millionaires, he was still drawing his sole income from his Mixmaster business. And took him a long time. And one of the things about Ray Kroc is that he actually in the beginning set his franchise fees so low that he couldn't make money out of the business because he wanted to do so much for his franchisees. And I'm not comparing myself with Ray Kroc, who's an incomparably more successful and greater businessman than I am. But I had the same issue. When I started franchising, I actually set my fees so low that I figured out after a while that I was losing money on every franchisee. In other words, what I was charging them didn't even account for what I did. Now, what Ray Kroc did actually to solve his problem was that he got into buying the property or the head leases, and he made his money out of real estate. And that's what made McDonald's successful. What I actually did is went back to my franchisees and said to them, guys, what I'm charging you is too little. I'm going to need to double your fees or I can't survive. And after a little bit of presentation problems and stuff, they agreed to do that. They agreed to double their fees. And they did that because they knew I genuinely was looking after them. So even though I made a really stupid mistake in what I was charging, I was able to survive that simply because my service to my franchisees was good enough. And my personal motto at the bottom of every email, it's not about customers. Our first priority is the welfare of our franchisees. We're also passionate about customer service. And the third point that we make about franchising too, and I'd recommend this to any franchisor, the third tagline is, we sign only franchisees and franchisors we are convinced will succeed. If you're selling a franchise to somebody because you want the money, even though you think there's a pretty good chance they might fail, you are doing a crooked thing. It's wrong, it's morally wrong, and it's also financially stupid, because that person will hurt your business when they go down for all kinds of reasons. When I train franchisors, I spend the first hour and a half of their training talking about why we select and how we select. It's so important. You've got to have quality people. So there's a lot of work. I love franchising. I really do. It's been great for us. But it's not for everybody. There are some kinds of people, there are some businesses that should never franchise, particularly those who don't have that genuine care for franchisees.
Need it done, Jim's the one.